Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Abdullah Samir podcast. We are now at episode number 70, and I am hearing myself again. Oh my! Let's see. Okay, how's it going? Can you introduce yourself?
Well, let's say I'm Qasim from Egypt. I'm ex-Muslim, also communist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you want to know why I became ex-Muslim, for example? What?
Yeah, I would love to hear your story. So before we do that, just to let everybody know, your first language is not English; it's Arabic, and so this is your second language. You're gonna try your best. It's not going to be easy, of course, but we do appreciate the effort you're taking, and of course, the fact that you're in Egypt. Um, do you want to talk about the risks involved in doing this? Like before we had this call, we talked about Sheriff Gaber, and you told me that he's not even. I'm just going to mute you. He's not even the worst off compared to how bad it is for some other people. Can you tell me how bad it gets for some people, and like what are your fears about coming out as an ex-Muslim in Egypt?
Okay, the worst thing, of course, you die, you get killed. That's the worst thing. You can go to prison, for example. You can, of course, you will lose your job. You will find social problems. Yeah, there is a lot of things that can happen to you just because you are ex-Muslim or atheist. Maybe not the same with ex-Christian or something, but ex-Muslim is a problem, especially if you are living within a society with or a town that 100% Muslim.
Egypt is not 100% Muslim.
I mean a town that have no Christian.
Oh, a town,
Not,
yeah.
I mean that.
So
And
can you tell me, like, you said you don't know about Sheriff Gaber personally, but you do believe that what he's going through is not unheard of in Egypt. It's just that he's famous. Like, this is what you told me. He's famous, so that's why we know about him. But there's many people like that in Egypt, right?
yeah, most people, most ex-Muslims try to like pretend that they are Muslim. They don't say they are ex-Muslim because if they did, they will face a lot of discrimination, a lot of problem on legal problem. Even in the ID, there is no. You can't change being a Muslim. You can't say you are ex-Muslim. You can't change that. It's like uh, it's like a race or something. You can't change that you are a Muslim.
Muslim by birth, Muslim by death. That's it.
Yeah,
There's no other option.
yeah, exactly.
So what is like? So do you agree with what I said that what Sheriff Gaber is going through? It's not uncommon. It's very common, but he's just a more famous example of that. And there's many people like him. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, of course, I agree with that. Who can disagree with that?
So let's talk about your story then. Can you tell me more about yourself? And let's hear about that.
Well, it's a long story. I started born in a family Sufis, not Salafis or something. But with time, especially in the beginning of 2000, 2001, etc., people tend to be Salafists. People tend to consider Sufis as not Muslims or doing shirk. Most of my town was Sufis. Now everything changed. It's not the same. I later I became Salafist too. Of course, people who go to Hajj or go to Mecca or go to Saudi Arabia for work, They came back with Wahhabi books that consider any sect, any Islamic sect, except Wahhabism or Sunni Islam, as non-Muslims. So I tried. I became at my at the last years of me being a Muslim to be convinced with jihadist mindset. I even contacted them. I know someone who went to Iraq. He contacted me, called me, and he even said he got trained in Suez in Egypt. Then he joined a group called the Islamic Army in Iraq.
Wow. And what happened after that? So you debated with them? What can you tell me more about what happened? So you spoke with an actual jihadist that was training, and then were you debating with him? Did you tell him you didn't tell him you're ex-Muslim, did you?
No, I would never do that. Of course, I just left them. I never talked to them again. Maybe just to one person I talked them. That was in 2013. He was like participating in a demonstration, pro Muslim Brotherhood demonstration, and because he knew me from before, he know I am like I support the right for speak or something. He told me that they have guns in the demonstrations. They want to do or ready to do some violent things if someone attacks them.
I even know someone that was anyways, actually I'm not going to mention that. So what I want to understand from you is why did you mention that you spoke to jihadists? Was that something that you were inclining to? Were you thinking of becoming a jihadist yourself? Like, why did you mention that?
In my mind, I was a jihadist. Maybe I don't participate in anything or do anything, but I was ready to that. That was that made me atheist. I didn't became ex-Muslim because it's like I didn't think it's moral to be ex-Muslim. I had to be ex-Muslim.
Can you elaborate on that?
I had to be ex-Muslim because I wanted to like there is ayah or verse in Quran say وَلْتَسْتَبِنْ سُبُلَ الْمُجْرِمِينَ. It's about how to
You're you're
know
you're breaking up. Can you try again? Sorry, what were you saying?
Know your enemy and how they saying.
Can you say that one more time? It looks like you're having connection problems. I didn't catch that. Can you say that one more time? Know your enemy? Is that what it was?
Can you hear me now?
Know your enemy?
Yes.
Is that what it was? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Abdullah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So I decided to learn Judaism or learn Hebrew to be exact. That was the beginning. When I started to learn Hebrew, I found some words like Noah and Adam and Israel. The word Israel, it was in Quran. These words mean a different thing in Hebrew. Okay, like Noah mean have a long life. Um, the word Israel is the one who defeated God or something. So became
Yes, yeah.
weird.
Yes, yeah.
Like why, if that their true names, that was thousands of years ago, before Judaism, before Hebrew, and from different places, why Islam using the same Hebrew names, not their original names, but the names that was about describing the person, not the actual name, or the actual name of the person.
So you're saying that those were actually titles, not actual. These are not actual names, but titles. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
But
But
isn't sorry, I have to mute you. Isn't that an issue with if that isn't that just coming from Judaism, because Judaism is supposed to be part of Islam as well?
Okay. Is Adam was a Jew also? Like, you can't say everyone, every prophet from every place and time have a Hebrew name. They can't be all Jews. They can't all of them. Like maybe one or two. They have to have different nationality that separated from Judaism.
Oh yeah.
oh yeah.
Like Islam says that, or Muslims say that.
Yeah, Islam says that we sent a messenger to every single nation. There's 124,000 messengers and prophets, and not just in the Middle East, but all over the world, in fact.
Yeah, exactly. And there is another thing. There is another problem. Like I was can you hear me?
Yes,
I
I can
was
hear
Yes,
you.
I can tell you.
I was convinced that like Quran have a miracle, or yeah, a miracle. I like it knows the future and the past and such thing. For example, there is a verse about غلبت الروم وهم من بعد غلبهم سيغلبون. This verse has two meanings that contradict each other. Like it can mean that they will be defeated or they will be victorious. Like can't be, can't be both.
Yes.
Yes.
So this and among other things, I decided just no, I can't. I have to be out of this and compare every religion with the other.
Ha,
Also,
yeah.
also, Judaism have something that it is about scientific miracles in Torah, or scientific. I don't know, like in the Old Testament or something. They have the same thing. Why God gives them the same proof that their religion is right and they are fighting us, or we are fighting them, and they believe the same thing. They are not evil, as like Islam says they know Islam, but they don't adopt Islam. It's not the case.
I'm yeah, so what you're saying is it seems to be that, they believe in the same foundation that Islam is taught, but you're taught that according to Islam, the misguided and they're going to go to hell, and they're all going to go to hell because they didn't accept Muhammad. So are you saying that this caused you to wonder, why is it that if this is all coming from Judaism and then Christianity, then why is it that they're so misguided? Like, how are they corrupted? Is that what you're saying? Because Islam would say, Muslims would say, is Judaism and Christianity are corrupted, and they're not the authentic version of the religion.
Well, they are giving them the same proof. Like in Islam say Moses have the the magic wand or something that turned to snake. Jesus can bring people from the dead. Muhammad have Quran. It's the only thing. It's a miracle within the word itself. Miracle, numeric miracles. scientific miracles. If the same miracles exist in Judaism, then it's not a miracle. It's not a miracle of Islam.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. So if it's not, if
He
it's
can
not unique,
easily get it and make his own.
Yeah.
sorry, it's a little bit laggy. Yeah, I agree with you totally. What you're saying, that it's not the miracles, the scientific miracles in
Sorry,
Islam are
it's a
not
little bit
unique
laggy.
to. They're not unique to
Yeah,
Islam.
I agree with you
They
totally.
exist in all of the different. I mean, they exist even in like atheist books. For example, famous philosophers like Lucretius, who came up with the idea of the atom far better than Islam did, or even Christianity or anyone else. There's many non-religious people like Aristotle that came up with embryology that was far better than even what the Quran had. And there's famous Indian embryologists as well that came up with the description of the embryology, and he didn't claim to talk to God. He just came up with it based on his research and understanding. So I understand this point you're making.
Well, I didn't know this then. Like for most Muslims, especially in Egypt, history starts with Islam. Like nothing before it. Like the whole world is living in darkness, and then Islam happened. We don't like study much about Greek or other culture, even the Egyptian culture.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So can you tell me, I'm curious about this whole thing about how you were a jihadi in your mind, meaning you understood jihad and you believed in jihad, but then you left this behind because you started, am I understanding it correctly, that because you started studying the Quran and then studying the Torah and looking at the Bible, and you were starting to see that the Quran is not unique like it claims to be. It's the same from your perspective now. It's just like another holy book that contains the same sort of proofs, let's call it. But you were expecting that the Quran was exceptional, that it was unique, it was special. And you're an Arab, you're an Arabic speaking person. Do you not find Arabic to be outstanding and amazing and blows you away? And like, what do you think about the Arabic of the Quran? And is this what, like, did this convince you at all? I mean, this is something that Muslims say all the time.
The time.
Well, like nothing. It's just a language, like any other language. And not, I don't find. Maybe there is something like in poetry and some or something like. As a whole, it's not very unique. I find the Chinese kind of unique.
So
So,
I have to do this thing where I have to mute your mic before I can talk, because otherwise there's echo. So if you need to put your headphones on, you can go ahead. But I know I don't really understand why we're getting echo like that, but that's okay. So we'll just take turns talking like we're doing right now. So so what so is this is what convinced you? Then what happened after that? Now you're living in Egypt as a closeted ex-Muslim. Like, is this what's happening now? And was there more to it? Did you try talking to people? Did someone try to convince you back to Islam? Did you tell anybody? What happened after that?
Well, I'm living as a Muslim, not as ex-Muslim. Like, for example, I try to fix it or try to get a different and a better version of Islam. I don't try like you have to leave Islam. Islam is bad. I'm saying like, for example, I find Shia Islam is well better than Sunni Islam, and also I find it's a nice approach to criticize many things like Aisha and her marriage at 6, and like even invasion to non-Muslim countries. Some Shia sects refuse it and find it as a political thing that have nothing to do with religion.
I would say that there are going to be, if you're looking at it subjectively from a sect to sect basis, there's going to be some things that are better than some sects and some things that are worse. Shiism has the whole thing of, hitting the heads, and they're doing this in ritual self-flagellation in honor of Hussein's death. But that's not really a good thing. I mean, that's a bad thing that Sunni Islam doesn't have. Shias believe in 12 infallible imams, that the 12th one is in hiding in a cave and is going to come back. So that doesn't really make sense. In my opinion, as an ex-Sunni, Shiism is not well defined in the Quran, because the Quran doesn't talk about 12 imams, which is the most important thing in Shiism, is 12 imams. And so Shias, they have to say that, well, it's hidden. It's esoteric interpretation of the Quran that's hidden, that, it tells you that there's 12 imams, because there's no 12 imams in the Quran. So what do you do with that? That's one of the most important things, right?
Well, at least I could convince someone that Salafists aren't Muslims. That was...
Sorry, go ahead.
I could, like, my father was a Salafist. I couldn't tell him, like, everything is wrong, as Islam is not true. All I did, I told him Salafists aren't Muslims, Wahhabists aren't Muslims, and they give them, like, some, like, I can say, Islamic proof to what I say.
So I don't know how convincing. I mean, maybe it did convince him, but there is obviously issues with using one sect's proof against another, because the sources are not the same. I mean, to say that Salafis are not Muslim, I think is a sort of extreme thing to say to any Muslim, to say, oh, these guys are not Muslim, when they do believe in the same God, and they believe in the same prophet, and they believe in pretty much every single thing exactly the same. It's just that the interpretation is different in terms of how they envision Allah, and how they envision the theology, and how it has to be implemented. But, like, are you saying you used Shia proofs to tell your dad that Salafis are not Muslim? Is that what you told? And did this convince him? Like, what was the outcome of this?
Well, it's not a Shia proof, it's a Sunni proof. Like, for example, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, who's one of the biggest Sunni scholars and the biggest Hadith scholar, he believed that the Quran isn't a creature or created by God, but it's eternal as God. If you see that Kalamullah is not created by God, then Kalamatullah, Jesus, isn't created by God, but a part of God, or the Trinity.
Okay.
That's how you convince someone they aren't true Muslims. They follow the same thing that Christian and Jews did. Like, it's in Hadith, in Sunnah Hadith, like, it says that Muslims will follow Christians in every way. Like, I can't say the Hadith in English, the translation.
Yeah, I know the Hadith. It says, you will follow the ways of the Christians and the Jews step by step, even if they go into a hole. Here we go. I found it. I'll just put it on the screen in English. 1 second. Yeah, so the Prophet said, you'll follow the wrong ways of your predecessors so completely and literally that if they'll go into the hole of some animal, you will go there too. He said, what do you mean, Christians and Jews? Like, of course, Christians and Jews. So yeah, this is a hadith. So are you saying that you tried to convince your father using Islamic proofs that this is to try to make him less religious? Was that your goal to when you're having a dialogue with your father? Is that what you were trying to do?
Well, there are some hadiths that say killing who leave Islam, and many bad hadiths is worse than Quran, because it explains Quran in a certain way. If you are got free of that, you can explain it in a different way, more humanic way, more modern way. Like, for example, when there is another thing, I have to mention now. Like the first followers of Hadith was Musaylima, and the followers of Musaylima who followed Musaylima were companions of Muhammad. One of them was writing the revelation of Muhammad, and one of the wives of Muhammad were one of the followers of Musaylima. So he had a strong hadith, one of the strongest hadith. Then, but Muslims and all Muslims consider him and his followers as non-believers.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Was your goal now to share all of this with your father and your family members in order, because there's a lot of terrible things in the hadith, so you're trying to show them that we don't need hadith so they can be like a Quranist and then they don't believe in apostasy law and they don't have to kill you? Is that what you were thinking?
well, I tried to tell him there is a different or better sect of Islam. He just said, no, we care only about Quran. We don't care about all these sects. He did it, not me.
So your dad he became Quranist now and he doesn't believe in hadith anymore?
Like, I can't say that he doesn't care about hadith. He doesn't care that hadith says a thing that I have to do the same thing. He just got free in his interpretation of Islam.
That's very nice to hear, and that's good. I mean, if we don't necessarily need everyone to leave Islam, we just need them to get into a more, like, friendly version of Islam, one that plays better with the rest of the world, one that doesn't need to kill apostates, one that doesn't insist that all of these things, Muslim sects need to be killed or whatever, other Muslims that are apostates and Qadianis or Ahmadis need to be killed and all that. So I understand that. So where are you now in your journey? You've left Islam, you've convinced, you tried to convince your family members. Was there something in specific you wanted to share with the world now that you're on here? You already told us about the risks of coming out and how tough that is, and that's why you haven't come out. But like, was there something you wanted to talk about in particular on this channel?
Well, I disagree with you in many things. Like, for example, you take, or most ex-Muslims, you take the West as your friend, or that the West, like in your side, I don't find that. I find the West hurted us and hurted especially non-Muslims or atheists, or even Sufis and the Shia in the Middle East. And like, for example, in Indonesia, they made a genocide against atheists and non-believers. They killed 1 million atheists. By the West supported this genocide. The same as Afghanistan, the same with Syria. With Syria, it was like, I couldn't believe it that the West are arming groups that want to end minorities or kill minorities. They only were asking to kill Alawis or other Shia, and it was crazy. Like, maybe you were wrong when you did what you did in Afghanistan, but to do the same in Syria, and it was crazy. And for Egypt also, you put Islamist president in power. He pushed towards Salafism. There's no problem with that to me.
So what you're saying is that you disagree with me that the West is morally superior to the East, and you wanted to share that the West has a criminal record of doing many bad things and putting up dictators and being involved in genocides and stuff like that. I don't believe that the West is in any way morally superior. As a maybe on average it is. I mean, and there's many things that Western countries have done which are immoral, and you highlighted some of them, for example. And it's I'm a humanist, so I don't I'm not black and white, like West is good and East is evil or something like that. I understand that there's many people suffering in the world, and like many other people who love democracy and love freedom, I see that there's a lot of terrible things being done by other countries. My own country of Canada actually has a deal with Saudi Arabia to sell them tanks, like a multi-million-dollar deal. Saudi Arabia, we know, is one of the most corrupt, evil regimes in the world, alongside Syria and Russia and there's Iran, and yet we are selling them tanks. And there was some pressure to try to cancel the deal when a new Prime Minister Trudeau was elected, and he said, "I can't do it." It was a deal that was signed by the previous Prime Minister Stephen Harper, and we can't cancel it. But I do agree with you that the West does have its moral failings. It's not absolutely better in every way. I do think that as a whole, the West does have a lot of really positive things going for it in terms of freedom of religion, freedom of expression, ability to criticize the government, ability to protest, ability to unionize, ability to sue, freedom of religion. Like, as a Muslim living in Canada, I had to say that I had a good life as a Muslim here. I was able to practice my religion. I even had like a big beard, and I used to like get jobs still. I used to be able to, I didn't feel like I was openly discriminated against. I was able to succeed in my university education, and there was racism. Of course, there's racism. Racism exists everywhere in the world. But as a whole, I do think that the West is a pretty damn good place to live. And I do think that if most people in the Middle East would actually choose to come here if they could, we don't have, like, again, it's not our presidents and stuff are not immune from cheating and bribery and stuff, but it's not as openly done. Like, you don't openly bribe police officers here in the streets, and like you don't bribe judges. You can, but it's usually with a lot of indirection, right? And I don't even know how it happens, but I haven't seen it. What I do know is that when I went to Saudi, when I went to Egypt, I was like asked for bribes, like, and I didn't even know. And I'll let you talk in a minute. Sorry, I know I had to mute you because of the echo, so you can't interrupt me, but I'll be done in a minute. When I went to Saudi for the first time as a Muslim, going for Umrah, sorry, the guy is like, the police officer at the airport was like, no, you can't take this baby food, right? And I'm like, it's sealed. It's a sealed bottle. It's not open. He's like, no liquids. I said, it's sealed. You're allowed to take baby food. He's like, fulus. So first I didn't get what he was saying. What's fulus? He's like, fulus. And then he did this. And then and I understood in my mind, he's asking me for a bribe. And I'm like, astaghfirullah, bribing is haram, right? So I just played dumb. I'm like, I don't know what fulus is. Like, what's fulus? I never heard of fulus. Is that like a shawarma? Like, is that some food you eat? Like hummus? Yeah. Habibi, hummus, shawarma, like, I don't know, falafel, like. And I was like playing dumb. And then he's like, oh, just go on the plane. Go for your umrah. And I was like, okay. But I never, like, in the many years I lived in Canada, I've been here almost 30 years. I never, ever was asked for a bribe by any sort of official just for like traveling. It's the corruption is just not there. So the Muslim world, the Middle East in general, it just has a long way to go. And you can feel free to disagree with me. I'm going to mute my mic now so you can talk.
Speaking of Umrah, do you know, I went to Umrah when I was atheist. I took a photo there. You can search now. You can search atheist in Saudi Arabia. You can find the photo. It was in front of Kaaba.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. I don't disagree with you when it comes to West are good towards citizen. But when I say the West, I don't see it at what political or what they do inside their country. I see the West to what they did to my country, to what they did to Middle East, to what they did to Afghanistan. Like, for example, when jihad started in Afghanistan, people were killing mujahideen. They didn't want them. They considered them as non-believers.
but the West funded them anyway. Like for example, they did made up lies about like this is Soviets use chemical weapons against the Afghanis or the Mujahideen. Then it turned out to be a lie, but they continued their support anyway. They didn't care. And now we're still suffering from it. Like ISIS was a start from Herat, like within a camp in Afghanistan from one of the Mujahideen there.
So I don't think there's any disagreement. So I don't think there's any disagreement that the Western countries were involved in unethical arming, and like I think every single country does this. They fight one group against another to protect their own interests. America is extremely bad for this. They meddle in everyone else's affairs. I think Obama, people love Obama, but under Obama, he bombed more Muslim countries than anyone else, and under Trump, he hasn't bombed anyone. So I don't disagree with you. Because the sound is kind of bad. We should try to end it soon, though. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about that? Because your bandwidth is a little bit bad and it's a little bit hard to hear you. But just go ahead and let me know what else you'd like. If there's anything else you want to talk about before we end it.
Okay, I want to say something that I found in Sahih Bukhari and other books like that. They intentionally deleted some text from hadiths and published that. I used that to prove that they are not followers of Islam. Like they did what they accused Christians and Jews of doing, like يحرفون الكلم بعد مواضعه. They did the same. So this too can be taken as a proof that they are not trustworthy and they shouldn't be treated as science or scholars of Islam.
Yeah, that is in the Quran. I think I don't know if this is the ayah you're talking about. Can you see what you're asking about?
Can you re-say what you said? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I'm saying so what you're saying is that some of these scholars, what they do, or some of the translations, I don't know, translations, or maybe the publishers of Sahih Bukhari are removing words from the hadith. And why would they do that? Why are you saying they're doing that? What's the purpose of hiding some of the text in Sahih Bukhari?
Okay, there is a hadith written by Bukhari. It says kaza wa kaza. That's it. That's the whole hadith. It's translated as something and something. You can search for it. It means nothing. He just removed the hadith and kept the sanad. He did exactly what the Muslims accuse Christians of doing.
That's it's very interesting. Yeah. So there's probably is some dishonesty there. Anything else you wanted to share before we end it off?
Yeah, okay, you can end it. There is a problem with the sound.
The sound is a little bit difficult, but I'm willing to. I can understand you, and I can repeat what you're saying. I can get the gist of the issue. Was there something specific you wanted to share? Any final words then? If you just want, if we can end this off, and maybe we can try again another time with better bandwidth. Is there any final words you have that you want to share with everybody?
Well, I think ex-Muslims or atheists or any other groups, they should cooperate together to face Wahhabism and the Sunni. Wahhabis is Sunnis. Sufism are okay. I don't find a problem with that. They should both sides should push to modern Islam, or if they can't make modern Islam, they should be atheist or ex-Muslim or whatever.
Absolutely. I do agree with that. And Qasim, I want to thank you for coming. I know it was a little bit difficult to hear you at times, but I appreciate that you took the risk and you're willing to talk to us, with the situation that you have with the privacy issues, the risks of coming and talking and all that. Very much appreciate you. And to Sven, thank you for the kind words. Yes, I am back, and really appreciate that I got my channel back, even though I lost the monetization. I just want to say I'm excited to sometimes when you almost lose something, you realize what you took for granted, and then you're like, wow, like I had this thing and I wasn't using it like I should have. So I'm motivated and I'm pumped to get a lot of these interviews out, and make that change in the world. And for those of you who are new and you're on the new channel, Abdullah Samir Clips, please do subscribe. Click subscribe below. I know there's lots of people now that are connected to the new channel. I'm going to have 2 channels going forward, so that if I ever get blocked for any sort of glitch like this again, or any unfair strike, or I'm mass reported, that there's a backup. There's another option for me to continue talking, for me to continue communicating with you guys, and also to get the ads back. So I'm gonna reapply for monetization in about a month. So I think in a month I can apply. I don't know if YouTube is now going to consider that my channel is not PC enough to gain advertising revenue back. And if that's the case, then that's unfortunate, but that's okay. I'm going to continue trucking. I'm going to continue doing this. Again, thank you to a special guest and to everyone who joined us for this podcast. I apologize, the sound quality wasn't the best, but I, just thumbs up for the guest, and for his amazing effort speaking a second language. For me, I only speak English, unfortunately, so I know it's a struggle. I tried to learn Arabic, and it was tough, man. It was really tough. I didn't stick to it, and I just left it behind, and I didn't continue with it. I kind of wish I did, but at the same time, I had a lot of other things going on at the time. So yeah, thank you guys for joining. Thank you everyone, and please do subscribe to the new channel. The link is below, and we'll see you on the next live stream. Probably the next one will be next Saturday. I'm going to be talking to Little Devil Amestli, who is I believe an Afghani ex-Muslim or Pashto, and she had to leave home because she was going to be forced into an arranged marriage, and unfortunately, she had to make a decision at that point. Was she going to marry this Muslim man, even though she was a closeted ex-Muslim, or was she going to continue and be her free self? So she decided to take the difficult approach of leaving home and leaving everything behind, and to live an authentic life. So we're gonna have a really interesting interview coming up, and so stay tuned for that, and do subscribe to the channel. I said it like 3 or 4 times now. I apologize. I'm motivated and excited to get this other channel on the ball. And if you can afford to join, if you can afford to support me, please do consider joining on Patreon. The link should be below as well, and I appreciate all your support. There's no more super chats, of course, so if you need to donate, check the support page, abdullahsamir.com/support. You can donate, make a one-time donation. And to everyone that donated, thank you. You guys are the best. All right, this is your friendly neighborhood ex-Muslim, Abdullah Samir, signing out.